Hello, everyone. This is Alina with the Astro Wellness Podcast, and today I'm going to be discussing how Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Jupiter are initiating profound internal transformation, emotional restructuring, and identity shifts, especially for those who have planets and points in the early degrees of the zodiac. Now, individually, this configuration might feel like the moment where your old internal operating systems can no longer support the direction your life is trying to move toward. Because we are dealing with outer planets, all interacting through the early degrees of their sign, which is the 4 degrees, we are now still in the 0, 1, and 2 degrees of the zodiac signs, but in July, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and Jupiter all will get to 4 degrees. So this is going to be significant. A lot of people might feel disoriented because many of the old structures are going to be collapsing, and we naturally have the tendency to hold on to things, especially if something was important to us or represented a part of us or our lives. But like I've said earlier, inevitably it is all for the best, and we all decide how our journey will unfold and what we will face in a way, because it is connected to how we react to everything. That's why I keep telling you guys to learn how to look at things from a higher perspective and become an observer of your life. I know it's hard, but anything that's worth anything is not easy, right? Be honest with yourself and you will understand everything. Things are only painful when we are resisting change. But we always have the power within us to look at everything differently if we cultivate that power. So, back to our subject. Pluto, especially retrograding right now in Aquarius, is exposing where your life became disconnected from what is it actually authentic to you. Aquarius is our collective, social, technological, intellectual, future-oriented sign, but here it does not allow unconscious participation anymore. It makes you face things. And again, if you don't want to face them, it will be very painful, but life will still force you to experience all of it. But again, it's going to be just much more painful. This is why I'm suggesting you to take initiative into your own hands. So, even though it can be still painful, you will be in control instead of letting things just affect you externally and come to you, suddenly. Because remember, all the planets right now in this fire and air element, which are just signifying Saturn, and sometimes very intense things. So, one can be very affected by those. So, another thing I want to mention here, if you imagine magic wand, right? The one that we know is from all the fairy tales and fantasy movies. So, in a way, this magic wand represents your will and the direction where you put your energy. So if you imagine the magician tarot card, which is which holds one hand up and one hand down, it signifies as above, so below, right? But at the same time, it is also how you direct your energy towards something higher or towards something lower, right? The magician is the one who found the middle ground of everything, the golden ratio, right? So the choice of how to react and move through life is always up to you. And I can teach you also how to find a balance. And once you find this golden ratio within yourself, you gain control back into your own hands. Otherwise, you're just floating through life and everything external is pushing you in whatever direction it wants. Now, many people may suddenly realize now that they have built entire identities around the external life instead of themselves, and none of it no longer reflects who they truly are at their core. Since Pluto turned retrograde until October, it brings this process into your eternal world first. So like I mentioned before, change first happened internally and only then it reflects into your outside world. For that, your body must be clean. This is why there is a saying that your body is the temple, is your temple, right? The temple cannot be full of garbage. And I'm not only talking about food, but also other garbage that we observe with our ears, eyes, and nose, whatever we're breathing. When things are not, and of course, also sexual intercourses, when things are not done in moderation, and when there is no harmony, you are being fully exposed to absolutely every influence from the outside, whether it's physical or spiritual. Aquarius also brings this emotional detachment, which might actually be very helpful right now for many of us. It might feel uncomfortable at first because it strips this emotional dramatization away that we all used to and forces objective observation. So certain friendships, group dynamics, professional networks, or even your long-term goals might begin feeling energetically gone long before external separation actually occurs. If you look at your life since July last year, so this is like the most important months to look at, because at that time we had planetary positions that are very similar to the current ones, right? And I'm talking about the outer planets, right? So I've talked about it many times, and I also had an article which actually gives you exact dates to look at back in 2025, 24, and even 2023, I think. So whatever was initiated on those days now, and especially in July 2025 to like early August or like middle of August, is again coming to your mind and to the forefront of your life. So think back July, August 2025, and what was happening? What themes were playing out on your life? What was on your mind? What was occupying your mind? What was your goals, objectives, situations that you went through? Who'd you meet? Who'd you talk to? Who'd you stop talking to? Anything, goes into this, I always tell my friends and clients, look back at the messages that you sent, what you talked about with people, or even go to your camera roll and just look what kind of screenshots or pictures you took, so you will know and understand overall kind of vibe and energy that was around that time. So, and when we see that somehow, sense it, so we can pretty much relate to that period of time. And this is actually a technique that I can teach you, how get back, how to experience the things that you experienced before, very fast, how to remember things very fast, how to use your skills. This is all, things that you can program your mind. And when you're working with yourself and doing the inner work, which is the great work of alchemy, and you basically can do all of it. There is other ways to do that, which is considered kind of like, let's say, in a way like a black magic, I get, but it's more like a sexual magic. So, and there's another one which is not using any kind of sexual rituals, but just the way that you can work with your internal self. So this is very interesting, and if you are interested, let me know, and I will just share with you more, give you an examples, also some videos to watch if you want. Okay, so let's get back. So something coming back for you from that period of time, and it is already here actually, and you probably feel it, you might already experience it, be it people, situations, or whatever was going on at that time. So this is why I'm also talking, a lot about the absolute necessity of detoxing your system, because you won't be able to think clearly when something is not fully adjusted in your body, when there is a disharmony and disalignment. And it will cause, obviously, future, consequences to you. There is another one, the other ones that are kind of in alignment, they are lacking and suffering, so there is many different ways to look at it. where the disbalance actually happening in your body. And if you also want to learn about it, let me know. Now, so this is when you're not able to think clearly, right? If something is already misaligned in your body, it can also create other health problem, because you perhaps having like some emotional or mental bottling up. And then, other people, they will, let's say, go and do some emotional eating, or they, indulge in something else. And then there would be an inability to express oneself clearly and honestly. So you see, there is a lot of things. One is eating, then is like swallowing his emotions, and then is not able to say something, again swallowing his emotions. So there is like a lot of happening, and your mind cannot think clearly, especially if you're also being bombarded from each and every side with different news, things. I discussed it in my previous article. So how there is an information overload is happening right now purposely to preoccupy your mind, so you won't be able to think clearly and also to focus on yourself. The point is that you will always be focused on something external, be it your relationship, be it in some other person, like a celebrity, some TV show, I don't know, some kind of activism or anything else that has absolutely no connection to you. You have to understand that you are not able to influence anything in your external world. You're not able to influence another person, change their mind. You cannot read their mind. You can only influence yourself, work on yourself, and then be an example, and maybe perhaps another, some change will occur in someone else. That's all. So we only can control ourselves, and society right now is too much trying to control everything that is outside of themselves, when they themselves is actually fully disbalanced and out of control. So anyway, so all of this is actually never good, keeping everything inside. And if you want to learn more about this, like I said, about your wellness imprint, I also do like personalized astro wellness readings, and you'll be truly amazed with the synchronicities you learn. This is a blend of a medical astrology, Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, also different Taoist practices, and more herbalism. I'm a certified nutritionist also. So this is, I would say, like also like kind of mandatory reading because you will be able to see your wellness imprint and see what areas of your life need some attention. It would be incredible just to learn about everything. Well, anyway, like I will talk about it more for a different time. Anyway, so Uranus in Gemini accelerates the mental, body, and nervous system, and it can manifest also as rapid changes in thinking patterns, interests, communication style, learning, relationships, medium, consumption, even identity itself. And it is also beneficial to look at your chart and see what is the areas of your life where this is actually happening. Majority of the people might suddenly become unable to tolerate stagnation mentally anymore. Besides this, other astrological events are also occurring, and like I mentioned, at the end of May, which is the super rare and historical conjunction of Sedna, Sun, Uranus, and Pleiades in Gemini, that will also bring some kind of revelation and realization about things you might be learning. Entirely new subjects, changing direction, unexpectedly questioning your previous beliefs, or developing multiple parallel versions of yourself at once. For some, this becomes liberating, and for others, overstimulating. Uranus and Gemini can feel like the mind is constantly receiving signals faster than it can fully process them, and People who are Gemini or have sun, moon, or rising in Gemini, or any kind of concentration of the planets there or points, truly understand that, because the mind can be very scattered if you don't know how to control it, and the information process very fast. It's incredibly like lightning. Like I can compare it only to like Flash, from the comics. So at these times, your sleep patterns, concentration, and your attention span, as well as your nervous system regulation, become extremely important, right? Because everything is affected, and especially, again, you also getting affected from the outside. Neptune in Aries dissolves old identities while simultaneously also pushing people to discover who they actually are beneath all the conditioning at their core. Like I say, let's get back to our roots. This is where confusion can finally be replaced with the awakening, if you truly want that, though. Aries normally acts instinctively and raw, but Neptune here blurs this certainty, and many individuals might go through periods where they feel pulled towards completely different life paths without being able to logically actually explain why. Old visions may lose meaning for you completely overnight. Anger that was suppressed for many years might surface unexpectedly, so be careful. And I actually mentioned that many times with my clients on the readings, especially if you have heavy 12th house, and if you are a fiery personality, it is extremely important to watch yourself, because things can come to you unexpectedly. And what else we need to say? So yeah, like I said, wellness and care of oneself, right? It's extremely important right now. So other people can become deeply inspired and spiritually motivated for the first time ever in their life. Neptune in Aries can produce both spiritual warriors as well as the ideological confusion, depending on your consciousness level. And the danger here is acting impulsively while still projecting fantasies onto people, movements, relationships, yourself, or visions of the future. And I also talked about it before. Be honest with yourself. Do not overestimate yourself. Take off the pink glasses. Start to look realistically. Wake up, look at everything with a clear eyes and face your fears. Another thing to note here, Jupiter entering Leo, it also will amplify all this entire configuration. And at the same time, in July, we also will have our lunar node switching to Aquarius and Leo. So it will begin to demand visible expression to what was previously happening to you psychologically. Now seeks manifestation externally. People may suddenly feel the need to create, lead, perform, speak publicly, build personal brands, pursue visibility, or reclaim parts of themselves they abandoned years ago. And yes, I know it happened actually for many people too. And Jupiter in Leo magnifies confidence, but also your ego. Because remember, Leo by itself is the king of the animal world. But also it represents our ego. And Leo in general is deeply tied to physical reality. So this can create very egoistical tendencies in some ways. There is also lots of pride, which is also a form of ego in the areas of your life usually where Leo is placed, right? And a lot of emotional reactivity is also possible for this sign. Sometimes it can manifest as empowerment, but it can also manifest as inflation for some people because it can be too exhausting also. The challenge here is learning the difference between authentic self-expression and performance that seeks validation. Go back to my previous post and even you can go through my Instagram, because you will find a tremendous amount of posts from these past years that are talking about this. And and other things. Right now, everything is for validation. I discussed that also recently. People are abandoning their own values and views for a like on social media, just like how ridiculous it sounds. But they will say things and present themselves as someone that they not who they truly are, and they will agree with anything. So just so other people will like them. So which is also just ridiculous and sad. But the question is, do they like themselves? The answer is obviously no, because they always have to perform, and this performance is also never led them to relax, and there is, which leads also right to tension in the body. And you can also experience, because of all of that, stagnation internally and externally. It can also, all of that, manifest as unhappiness, and within your body as lymphatic problems, swollen limbs, and more. And all of these planets that we're talking about are going to interact in July at 4 degrees of their signs, which is, in my opinion, symbolizes a deep reach into emotional foundations, conditioning, family dynamics, survival patterns, and nervous system itself. In my previous post, I've talked about what 4 degrees represents. Remember, it's also Cancer and Moon, and carry all this influence with it. Many people may begin realizing that they previously, whatever they called themselves, their personality was actually their adaptation to reality. Again, there is some kind of like contradiction is happening, like, and people feeling like something strange, or like, they live in double life, or like, something is out of alignment, perhaps. All the emotional structures connected to safety, belonging, protection, childhood programming, and attachment patterns might begin dissolving now. And this can feel destabilizing at first, because the psyche naturally wants familiarity, like I mentioned that earlier, and do not like change, even that when this familiarity is unhealthy. Some people may completely change their careers, even if they already built a legacy in one field. Others might relocate unexpectedly, leave relationships, separate from communities, redefine their identities, abandon old ambitions, or discover hidden talents, or rediscover something, become interested in spirituality, astrology, or innovative technology in unconventional paths. Many will experience simultaneous endings and beginnings in the areas of the life where these changes are occurring. So again, look where is it happening in your birth chart. Or to learn more, you can get a reading. So because of all the outer planets are involved, these changes usually cannot be reversed once fully initiated. This is why I keep stressing for you to actually learn what is happening and how to navigate if you are confused in life right now. People who are affected the most are definitely those with the placements in the early degrees of Aquarius, Leo, Gemini, Sagittarius, Aries, and Libra, especially if your sun, moon, rising sign, nodes, or other personal planets between roughly 0 to 8 degrees, but also mostly between 0 to 5 degrees. This is the time where this is very significant time for you, I'm sorry, and very unique one, and you shouldn't miss it. You will see these changes initiating a completely new path for you. You are changing your entire timeline if you allow it. Many people right now also will feel that they're standing between two realities, like I said, simultaneously, where one life is already collapsing energetically and another one trying to emerge before it fully has a shape or fully manifested yet. Personally, I've been feeling it myself, like I told you, since last summer, July, August, and then like after like eclipse, like whoa, that was like emotional roller coaster for all of us. So everything is extremely interesting how everything is unfolding. Like I said, look from everything from higher perspective. Okay, so it can be very hard times, but you always have the power to control your reaction and perspective. So the healthiest way to work with the energy that is happening right now is not by forcing any kind of certainty or things too quickly. Do not force anything, actually, because this is just early degrees, and in these kind of degrees, planets are not fully experienced with this energy yet. They're just getting initiated into these new signs, and they might make mistakes, or like for sure they make mistakes before, and in order to fully learn how to react here and to become a master of that sign. So humanity and individuals alike are still at the beginning of understanding what this transit are truly building for them. And people who will navigate this best will likely be those who will stay adaptable mentally and grounded physically, like I said, emotionally honest with themselves first, and who are willing to let outdated identities die without trying to constantly resurrect them for their own comfort or whatever other reason they might find. So that's all. I hope you like it. Say something in the comments. Follow me. And as always, have a great day. And I appreciate you all.